Starting a real estate career is so much more than signing up for a class, taking a class, passing an exam. It's an entirely new lifestyle, potentially. An entirely new way of thinking. An entirely new way of earning not just a living, but earning the life it is that you truly desire. Now, you might feel that the current position you're in, the current job, the current role, whatever it is that you're doing right now, you might feel like you're not getting a good return on your time invested. If you look at factors that are affecting the entire country and arguably the entire world right now, look at inflation. That's the number one factor that's really, for lack of a better term, screwing so much stuff up. Because I guarantee you the inflation wages are not increasing at the same rate inflation is increasing. You look at right now, we're somewhere near like 8 to 10% of inflation, depending on when you're looking at it and how you're measuring it. So is your wages, are your income growing 10% a year? Because if you're not growing your income at least 10% per year, you're actually going to be falling behind in terms of the world, in terms of the inflation that's happening. And look, this isn't something for the ballot box. I mean, your votes, as much as they like to say every vote counts, there is a machine in Washington that really powers this entire country that is a very expensive machine, and they keep needing more money to run that machine. So that's going to mean more taxes. That's going to mean them printing more money. That's going to mean even more inflation. So if you're already having a hard time keeping up now, what's going to happen when this problem becomes even further and more compounded, to where there's even more inflation, to where there's even less job security, to where there's even more influence from AI? And you might already be some sort of business owner, or you could be more like most people where you're an employee. And maybe even you do have a business, but it's kind of just you, and you really don't know how to grow it much beyond that. So to share a little bit about my story, when I got into real estate quite some time ago now, it wasn't a great financial time. It wasn't a great economic time. There was a lot of contraction going on in the world, and I wanted to do something new because I was really starting to feel that more. I was actually, the company that I worked for was a company that was in decline. Now, despite me being in the top employees of 180,000 employees, if it's a company that's in decline, there's not growth happening. There's not new opportunities being created. And overall, when you look at our economy, what you're going to see is more and more companies that are revisiting and rethinking and reframing how it is that they operate. Whether it's related to inflation and having to cut costs or raise prices or totally adjust the business model, it could be related to just the advent of AI. And maybe there's a lot of tasks in your current role that could be replaced. And now you might be saying, well, John, why can't realtors just be replaced by AI? And I'm not saying they cannot be. However, what you want to do is put yourself in a position of somebody who's not just there to do the job of what an AI could eventually do, but to be the shepherd of your business. Because your business might involve AI. Myself, I already use AI on a daily basis with a lot of different things, and I'm a broker with multiple licenses, and that's a hot thing happening right now in real estate, is realtors, real estate agents going out and trying to take advantage of these tools to really like almost even add on an assistant. The power of having an assistant for basically free through like ChatGPT or all these different tools that are available now. So there's never been a better time to start a business, number one, just because there's so many tools, so much technology that's out there that's making it easier than ever. But the problem across the board, whether it's today or 20 years ago when it comes to starting a business or really starting anything new, is having a plan. And not just a plan that's of your own invention, because if you're new to this, if you've never done this before, if you're brand new to real estate, how do you build a plan? How do you know what's actually going to work? And that's where we come in here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. So there's several courses it is that we offer. Our most popular course is the course to get your real estate license, because you need that class just to have a seat at the table, to get your real estate license, to be able to play this game. But then beyond that, because your real estate licensing course is going to be mainly related to getting your license and passing the exam. Let me go ahead and grab a book over here, give you a little bit closer of a look at this. So if you're taking the course to get your real estate license, here is the book right here. This is what it looks like. About a 500-page textbook, a lot of information that's in this book here. And when you look at this book, you're probably thinking, wow, a lot of info. I'm probably going to learn everything I need to know from this book. Wrong. You're going to learn everything you need to know for passing the exam, but what you're going to find out taking this course is what the Florida Real Estate Commission considers important for passing their exam is not what's going to make you a successful real estate agent. What the Florida Real Estate Commission is most concerned with is that you can demonstrate the ability to know what the laws are. That's really the primary objective of your real estate licensing exam. And so what that means is the course that's required for that exam, which is essentially an exam prep course. Yes, you are learning about all the different real estate laws and rules and general practices, but it's mainly from that legal perspective of the Florida Real Estate Commission. If they're going to discipline you, they want you to know what you're getting disciplined for. And that's, like I said, that's maybe you don't like that because maybe you're hoping in this course to get your real estate license, you're going to learn everything there is to make millions of dollars in real estate, and you might get some really good ideas from this. But in terms of actually executing on it, this isn't necessarily the book that's going to help get you there. This is the book that's going to get you a seat at the table because this is what you need to take this course, to pass your state exam, because this is a prerequisite for your state exam unless you have a 4-year real estate degree, so specifically a degree in real estate, a real estate degree. Yes, that actually is a thing. So if you have one, congratulations. You could bypass this course, go straight to the exam. You just have to send your transcripts to the DBPR. But if you're also an attorney in good standing with the Florida Bar, you also can bypass this course. Now, whether or not you have to take the course, you still have to pass the exam for an attorney or someone with a 4-year real estate degree. And so if you're worried about passing the exam, you don't necessarily need to take the pre-licensing course. And I know this book looks intimidating, but we actually even have like a video-based on-demand class, or you could take one of our live instructor classes, either in person, or we also have live online, like webinar-style classes as well that are live, where you can actually interact live with the instructor. But even our self-paced on-demand programs, we have our most popular is our video-based on-demand program. And with that, you could chat in your questions at any time, 24/7, and one of our advisors will respond to you as soon as possible. Now, in terms of preparing for the exam, yes, this book is covering everything it is that you need to know and then some. So this course is approved by the Florida Real Estate Commission, and that's why this course is going to give you credit for your Florida Real Estate exam, is because the Florida Real Estate Commission literally gives us the approval. I'm a FREC certified instructor. This is a FREC approved course. We're a FREC approved school, the Florida Real Estate Commission. That's the FREC. Now, this book over here, this isn't anything to do with the Florida Real Estate Commission. This book, we call it our Weekend Prep Workbook, and this isn't necessarily for an actual in-person weekend prep class. That's actually where this comes from. This is actually where it originated from, is from those cram-style classes. But we actually don't offer those currently anymore. And it's been quite a few years since we offered them, because we now offer this in an on-demand format, which is significantly light years better than just sitting through one weekend where you can't rewind, you can't replay, because this is designed for review. So this is part of our Pass First Try bundle. You can check out more at passfirsttry.com to find out about our Pass First Try bundle. But the Pass First Try bundle is optional tools. So like I said, you're going to learn everything in this, but if you want to breeze through the exam, that's where these exam prep tools come in. So this is optional to help accelerate that process. And if you're trying to be, not just get your license, but do this in 90 days and really get up and running in 90 days, this is your ticket to speed. This is your ticket to accelerating this process, because this workbook, it's only about 100 pages. And this is the need to study. If you try to study this book, look at these when I just hold them up next to each other. Look at the difference in the size. I know it's a little blurry right there, but this is a 500-page textbook versus a 100-page workbook. And so this 100-page workbook, it follows along with our weekend prep recording. So you have access to an entire 16-hour recording of 2 days that you can access on demand. You could try to do it in that one weekend cram style, but that's really the last thing we recommend. And again, the reason why we don't offer these classes live, because they're significantly more effective with what we call spaced repetition. So spaced repetition means that you do a little bit and you take a break. You do a little bit, you take a break. You do a little bit, take a break. And the best way to do this is just spending maybe 20, 30 minutes a day studying. But making it a consistent daily habit is going to exponentially better prepare you for the exam than just trying to cram this in all in one weekend or one day or whatever crazy thing it is like that you're trying to do. So this is really effective because you could jump in at anywhere in this book. And what's really cool is we have QR codes you could scan to go to the audio review. That's another part of our Pass First Try strategy, the question simulator, or directly to the video of the Weekend Prep recordings that correspond to these sections. So this Weekend Prep workbook, again, it's optional. This is the course that's required by the FREC. This is what's here to help you study and narrow this down and really make this process go as quickly as possible. But you're not done learning yet. This is the book that's going to have the information that you're most desiring. So this is our post-licensing course. And we have this post-licensing course available in 4 different formats. You can take it in person, you can take it live online, we have a video on demand online, and we also have a text-based online. I would highly recommend one of the instructor-led formats for this. The self-guided text-based program, it's going to get the job done. There's a lot of information in there that's helpful as well, but the curriculum is slightly different for the instructor-led program. So whether you're taking that in person, live online, or the video on demand instructor-led format, you're going to get this book as a companion to that course. And this is essentially what you're following along with here. Now, if you're like me, when I got my real estate license, and you don't have somebody like me today telling you what to do here, you might get really frustrated with the information that you're required to learn in this pre-licensing course. And that's why, again, for studying, we try to simplify that and make it easier with this Weekend Prep workbook, the Weekend Prep recording, all the Pass First Try exam prep tools. That's there to help you simplify so you're not beating yourself up literally just studying this thick textbook that has a lot of extra information that's not going to be tested on your exam. Technically, anything in here that's on the FREC syllabus as part of this course could be tested on your exam, but there's certain topics that the Florida Real Estate Commission is more concerned with others. So you could still pass. That's all that's required is just that textbook, but this workbook is going to help expedite your process through those laws and rules and passing your exam. Now, if you're like me and you didn't have those exam prep tools available which that's not the case, because you just go to passfirsttry.com. You could buy that right there today. Even if you're not a Tampa School of Real Estate student, you could have taken a course with another school. This exam prep is universal for anyone trying to get a Florida real estate license, as well as a broker license. There's a few additional broker topics that aren't covered in the Pass First Try exam prep, but all the sales associate topics that get retested on your broker exam are also going to be covered in here. But going back to my story, it wasn't as easy and concise of a process for me getting my license and passing my exam. Number one mistake I made is I didn't take my state exam right away. I waited almost a year before I went around and took my state exam after doing my real estate course. And so that set me up for failure. And the other thing that set me up for failure was the way I studied, how I studied, and so much. But ultimately, I was able to overcome all of that and pass the state exam on my first try. But I burnt myself out so much studying and trying to get the license in the first place that by the time I actually had the license, I was ready to make money. Part of me dragging this out a year, which you might relate to if you've already started this course, if you've already been involved in taking these courses here, is maybe you are working a job right now. Chances are you do have some sort of way it is that you're having to spend your time to earn money so you could pay for your home, pay for your car, pay for your kids, pay for everything that requires money in this world, which is almost everything. And so that could be a major distraction as you're trying to go through this process. And what was happening to me is I had one foot out the door at this company, and I ultimately spent about 5 years there and consistently ranked again in the top. I was in what they call the President's Club and did a lot of sales, sold a lot of stuff, worked in many different divisions of the company. But because it was a company in decline, it was very difficult to advance. It was so much more just because they weren't necessarily creating new positions as to related to more eliminating positions. And so even if that wasn't the case, I started to realize that I wasn't on the trajectory I wanted to be for my life. I was still pretty young at the time. And so I was like, all right, let me go out and try this real estate thing. But that job was just good enough to get me by long enough for me to really drag this out. And it got to the point when I finally got around to actually studying and taking my state exam. I was 100% decided that I did not want to work at that company anymore. I did not want to work at that organization anymore, and I was making changes. I was like, you know what? I already took the real estate course. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pass the exam, and I did. And ultimately, after I got my license in June of that year. I think I quit that job in like September, November time, September, October, somewhere in that range. I think it might have been late October, maybe November. So maybe another like 4 months or so after I got my real estate license. And so a lot of people start real estate part-time. But one of the things about starting part-time that I know now more so than before, and especially after being a broker myself and helping other people start real estate careers, that when you're starting a real estate career full-time, let's say you've banked up, let's say like 6 months worth of money. So money isn't going to be something that you're worried about or concerned with of, oh, I need to get a paycheck in because I've got bills to pay or anything like that. So if you're looking to jump right into real estate full-time, to quit your job once you got your license and start right away in full-time, I would recommend having about 6 months or so. You could do less than that. I mean, you could really go quit your job and start full-time with no money left in your bank account and really put your back up against the wall. But really, if you want to get a good safety net, have 6 months of savings, and then you could go quit your job, and you've got 6 months to get this figured out. And what happens when you do have full-time availability to commit to this year? You've got a lot more time that you could get away with wasting. Now, what do I mean when you got more time you can afford to waste? Well, if you've got, let's say, 40, 50 hours you're committing to building your real estate business, that's a lot of time. And ultimately, there are part-time real estate agents that are maybe only working 15 to 20 hours a week on their real estate business, but they could actually be more productive than somebody full-time, because what happens when you're part-time is it forces you to be more productive. But the one thing that's going to be universal for whether somebody's starting part-time or full-time is if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have any sort of plan, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. You're going to end up finding yourself keeping yourself busy as opposed to actually being productive and making progress towards starting your real estate business and getting it off the ground and being able to actually quit that job or turn away completely from however it is that you've had to go about earning an income before that you've decided is not going to serve you in the future. So for me, I was a lot younger. I was definitely more stubborn. I was a lot more hard-headed. You go rewind back to when I first got my real estate license, an entirely different person than you see before you today. And there's so many lessons that I've learned that would have accelerated my process in getting started. And you know, one of the biggest things is just not taking a year to pass your exam. There's no need for that. We have people, if you go check our reviews, the record we've got right now is somebody taking only 17 days to get their real estate license. And yes, they did have the Pass First Try bundle for that there, because this, again, is your ticket to expediting this process as much as possible. We specialize just in Florida. There's a lot of nationwide exam prep out there. We actually used to just resell that ourselves here, but we knew it was an inferior product compared to what we could create. And so we went out and actually built the best exam prep tools for the state of Florida for your real estate exam. And that's what the Pass First Try, PassFirstTry.com strategy is. And so that was one part of us helping people accelerate this process, because if you could get your license so much faster, if you could, no one's going to know how many times it takes you to pass your exam. As a real estate instructor, a FREC real estate instructor, as a broker with multiple licenses, as a citizen making a public records request, I am not able to see how many times it took you to get your real estate license. You go take that exam 100 times if you want. It's like $40 or something like that per attempt, so I don't recommend that strategy, because you could just buy the Pass First Try exam prep for a lot cheaper than just retaking, because it's not even just a monetary expense, it's a stress expense. Because when you're able to breeze through the licensing process, you're going to be much more confident and have much more momentum going into that next stage of actually making this real. Again, your real estate license is just going to get you a seat at the table. And there's a few different roads it is you could go down. You could take the extremely part-time, super simple, very hands-off, very easy to get up and running route of just using your license to earn referrals. And what that means is you get a lead, you get them connected with somebody with a real estate license, and because you yourself have a real estate license, you could earn a percentage of that commission when they close the deal. So that becomes legal when you have a real estate license. It's illegal if you don't have a real estate license. You're not allowed to earn any sort of kickback or referral fee unless you have an active real estate license. So that's one path you could go down. It's the most part-time path. If you're looking to supplement your income and not necessarily quit your job, that's where referrals are going to be a really powerful way to earn a living. But if you're like most people, you're looking for an entire change. You're looking to switch things up completely. You maybe want to become a top producing real estate agent, or maybe you just want to earn money easier than the way it is that you currently go about doing that. Maybe you're just burnt out with whatever it is that you do in your job, and you'd rather have the more exciting, the more dynamic role of running your own real estate business. And so going back to my own story, as well as the story of many people starting a real estate career, again, you invest yourself in the course to get the license, in the Pass First Try exam prep. This is a lot of information. but it's not information that's going to necessarily be related specifically to how do you make money with your real estate license. It's specifically related to how do you practice real estate legally in Florida so you don't lose your license, because that's what the Florida Real Estate Commission is most concerned with in terms of obtaining the license. Now, once you've demonstrated that you effectively know these laws and rules and general practices, so you are practicing real estate within the confines of the FREC rules and the Florida statutes, that's when they now again let you have the license. But you might not know what to do. You know that a contract has to be in writing and signed, but now how do you actually present a contract to a client? Well, let's go back to this course right here. This is what we call post-licensing. So 2 courses mainly that are required. Number 1 is pre-licensing, P-R-E as in before, pre. You take that before your license, and again, the primary objective and focus is the laws and rules that the Florida Real Estate Commission considers important. However, once you have your license, you're going to be required for your first renewal to do a very specific form of continuing education that they call post-licensing. So this course, this curriculum here, this 45-hour post-licensing course, when I first got my license, I knew I had to take this because you're going to learn about that in your pre-licensing course. That could be a topic on your exam. Is one of the questions is what course is required for your first renewal, and it's 45 hours of post-licensing. But the thing that's not going to be tested on the exam is what this post-licensing is required to consist of. Now, when we talk about pre-licensing, the course to get your license, there's a very specific Florida Real Estate Commission syllabus of what's going to potentially be on the exam. So that's what we adhere to in our curriculum. That's actually what's a condition of our approval, is that we follow the Florida Real Estate Commission syllabus, and that's why there's some extra information in there that's on the FREC syllabus but isn't as important for the exam, and that's where this little weekend prep workbook and the Pass First Try strategy help out with that. But now this was something that when I got my license, I dreaded doing. I dreaded doing this because the process of getting licensed for me wasn't that easy. There was no PassFirstTry.com then. I was, relying on like people quizzing me and like just random books I could buy that had practice exams in it and all kinds of stuff like that. And so it wasn't a very clear and concise way for me to study, but I did figure it out. I was able to pass the exam on the first try. But after I did that, I was really in a position of, you know what? I got the license. I don't need to take this other course yet. I know enough. I already passed the exam. I got the license. That's all I need. They said I don't need this until 18 to 24 months after I get my license, so I'm going to wait. And so what happened, because I decided to wait on this information, is I didn't know what to do. I knew a contract had to be in writing and signed. I knew that written contracts are valid for 5 years. I knew a bunch of little basic legalities like that. And I joined a brokerage that did have training programs. It was basically a series of like online videos and whatnot. But what I found out is these videos were more related to just sales training, which, that was good. But I had already been ranked in President's Club in a Fortune 500, 180,000 employee company. So I knew a thing or two about sales. I also went to school for marketing, specifically for a degree in marketing. And so I knew a lot about marketing, and that was one of the things that was really driving me to want to start my own business, to do something different than just the employee role that I was in, because I demonstrated that, and there was a lot of sales training that I did in this sales role at this previous company. And so I knew a lot about sales, I knew a lot about marketing, and so I went into my real estate career foolhardily, knowing this now, thinking that I knew everything I needed to know. I went in there with a lot bigger head, a lot more confidence than I probably should have. And it was really false confidence. I've realized that now that I have real confidence, I realize how fake my confidence had been in the past. And so that false confidence can really set you up for failure. Because let me explain to you what my starting real estate career looked like, so that way this doesn't look like it for you. So I was working a full-time job at the time, but what I do on my days off is I would literally go to the real estate office, and I would go set up in the real estate office, and even if I could get out of work early, because maybe I was working an earlier shift, I could get out and then I could go work down at the real estate office for a little bit before I went home. So I was putting in the hours. I was putting in the time. I was going to the office, I was sitting there with my laptop, I was putting in the hours, but I wasn't effectively using my time. For the first 2 weeks of time that I dedicated to my real estate business, probably because, again, I was doing this part-time, but roughly, I would say about 40 to 50 hours of time that I spent designing my business card. Designing my business card. Part of that did involve me like getting an ad shot, but a lot of it was just me sitting there with a little mouse, just clicking away on my laptop, my little trackpad, Just say, oh, let's move this here. Let's center that this way. Let's move this here. Let me research the different websites where I could order a really fancy business card, because I saw one that actually my broker at the time had that had some foil lettering on it. It was really shiny, metallic looking. I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And the broker even said they're going to reimburse me for business cards. And that was really what led me down this path for wasting my first 2 weeks with my real estate career obsessing over my business card. And what I've realized now is the reason why I spend so much time on my business card was I literally didn't know what else to do with my time. I was like, okay, broker said I could get business cards and I'll get reimbursed on my first deal for what those business cards are. And yeah, I definitely need business cards to get a deal. So let me go work on my business cards. And that's all I knew to do. That's all I knew to focus on. And I was layering on all these ideas and concepts I had from studying marketing and all kinds of nonsense like that. But ultimately, it backfired on me because I invested not just the time, but the money in these cards. And I knew I was going to get reimbursed on my first deal, my first closing. I was going to get paid back, which actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure if I ever even requested the payback for that, because it was some time afterwards before I got my first real estate deal. And I was just so happy I had a commission. I don't think I was trying to go after getting like the $250 back that I spent on these business cards, because I think it was maybe a $10,000 commission, something like that. So $250, you're not thinking about that, especially when you've been working so long to try to get a deal. And we'll get to what eventually made me understand what I need to do to be successful. But long story short, the information in this post-licensing course is going to be extremely beneficial, and it's going to be more beneficial the sooner you take it. If I took this as soon as I got my real estate license, I probably would have still wasted time, but I definitely would have spent the first 2 weeks designing my business card, because I would have knew so much more that I had to do. I would have understood so much more that's going to be important to me growing a successful real estate business. But I didn't have that information, so I was just going on my own knowledge. The broker said they'll reimburse for business cards. I had a degree in marketing and all the studying in marketing, so I was like, you know what? Perfect. Let me just go focus on business cards. And I was acting like I was being paid to design a business card. And the reality is, I mean, especially today, you could have a business card up and running and ready to go in less than 30 minutes. Ordered, printed, ready. So, and look, I'm still pretty young, so this wasn't even that long ago. This was a computer. I was using Photoshop, all that other stuff. There's plenty of templates online I probably could have ordered off of, but I just obsessed over the business card. And the reason why is I didn't know any other thing to do, so I was focused on making myself busy as opposed to making myself productive. And that's a very common thing for someone coming from an employee role into a business role. And, you know, I'd been an entrepreneur. I've had other businesses in the past, but for the last 5 years, I was an employee. So those 5 years of being an employee and working like an employee made me work like an employee now in my business. But the problem with working like an employee is you're not always thinking of the bigger picture. And I didn't know what the bigger picture even looked like, which is why, again, just hyper-fixated on the business cards. And that's probably the most embarrassing part of my real estate career, and the number one reason why it took me so long to find that initial success was not knowing what to do, not knowing how to use my time. And so knowing this now, the solution is not going and spending way more money than you need to on some sort of sales training boot camp, because that's what I did. I ultimately invested over $1,000 in some sort of sales training boot camp type of thing. To do something like that today with inflation, it probably would cost $2,000 or $3,000 for a similar type of program. And so for me, it opened my eyes to so much I didn't know about what I really should be doing with my time to actually make money with my real estate license. You know, I was just going off the information really that was in the, and not even this, because there was no pass first try at the time. I was really just going off the information I learned in the course. And so again, I knew the basics, I knew the laws, but I didn't know how to use the license. And I was expecting there to be training from the brokerage on that. And yes, again, they did have some sales training videos, and ultimately that probably wasn't the best brokerage for me to start out at. It was recommended to me by a friend, and that's the number one reason I would say not to join a brokerage, is if it's just recommended to you by a friend, because most brokerages have some sort of recruiting incentive in there. So that recommendation is usually a paid recommendation, not necessarily them just thinking it's the best brokerage in the world. They're probably incentivized for it. So what's important is that you have your own plan. Now you might say, well, John, how do I build my own business plan? So remember this post-licensing course I was talking about? Now, if you want to get the credit for this, the credit that the Florida Real Estate Commission requires you to get within the first 2 years, maybe as short as 18 months, depending on when you get your license, you have to take this after you get your license. You could definitely enroll in the course before you have the license, but before you have your license, this is what you should be focusing on. Don't waste your time here because none of this stuff matters until you get the license. So now once you get the license, the first thing you want to do isn't join a brokerage. That's what I did. I went and joined a brokerage and tried to go put myself to work not knowing what to do. Because when you join the brokerage, now you're signing up for the brokerage. There's some costs there for initiation and joining the realtors and getting tools like the MLS and everything like that. And because these are all subscription-based things that you need, tools to be able to run your real estate business, you know, the moment you become active, because you want to go, you know, start working right away. But the moment you become active, you start having all of these expenses of running your real estate business. And is that the smartest move for you if you're not quite sure how to run your real estate business yet? And I would absolutely say not. Because I did that. I lived that life. I lived the life of, okay, I got the license, that's all I need, and that's what the law says. That's all I needed at the time, was just to have the license and to join a broker. So I was like, okay, got the license, going to join a broker, but then I struggled. And it really was, it corresponded with me quitting my job, because again, I maintained that job for from June to, like I said, maybe November at the latest. So that's July, August, and we'll call it June, July, August, September, October, maybe about 5 months, 5 to 6 months, which is way longer than 90 days. So if you want to do this faster than me, and you don't want to spend thousands of dollars on a sales training boot camp after you've already been trying to make a real estate career for 6 months. But it was after I did that boot camp, after I signed up for that boot camp, because I maybe did that about 3 or 4 months in, once I realized I wasn't making any money, and it was a 90-day program. But that program was so effective, and it actually involved me going out and doing activities even. And so I was starting to actually have activity in my business and actually knowing what to do. And that's what actually gave me the confidence to quit my job. I also had a 401k that I cashed out, so that way I did have money to get me by until I was regularly closing deals. But ultimately, looking back on it, I wasted probably at least the first 3 months of me having my real estate license just from not knowing what to do. And so when my renewal finally came around, because again, that's going to be about 18 to 24 months after you get your license, that's when you're required to take this course. Otherwise, you're going to lose your license. So you could take this as soon as you get your license, or you could do it right before your deadline. As long as you get it done, you won't lose your license, but you're going to get the most out of this the sooner that you take it. So this is completely different. This is a complete 180 from the information you're learning in your pre-licensing course, because number one, there's no state exam for this. And so what that means is the Florida Real Estate Commission, they don't have as specific of a syllabus for this course compared to the pre-licensing. And so what that means is there could be a lot of variation in different post-licensing programs. And so that's why I said earlier that our instructor-led programs, whether it's in person, the live online, or the video on demand instructor-led program, it's going to follow this book right here, which is my favorite in terms of knowing what you need to do to actually make money with this. One of the things I talked about earlier was the contracts, and that's the number one comparison I like to give when you're comparing pre-licensing to post-licensing. Because if you go into here, you're actually going to see there's topics on contracts, but when you're covering this here, you're learning about actually presenting these contracts and using these contracts, whereas in your pre-licensing course, you're just learning the basics of what makes them legal. So it's a very 101 course that's not really going to help you in terms of actually knowing what to do to sell. And so the reason I say that for you today is because I waited to take this, and that was the number one mistake I made in getting my real estate license. What I found out was all the information that I thought was so mind-blowing and eye-opening, and just really, it was really the difference maker in terms of me getting my real estate career off the ground, getting it up and running, was the information in that sales training course. But when I took this course, I realized, wow, there's a lot of concepts that I learned in that little sales boot camp that for a couple $100 instead of a couple $1,000, I could have learned in the post-licensing course. And I had to do this one anyways because it's a requirement to renew your license. And one of the things I would even recommend is doing this before you even join a broker officially. Now, if you've already got a broker in mind, that's great. But how do you know that is going to be the ideal broker for what you're trying to do with the real estate business? I'm going to point you over here to Chapter 3 of this post-licensing course. Business planning and time management. You're not going to see anything about business planning and time management in your pre-licensing course because it's not something they test you on your state exam. The Florida Real Estate Commission doesn't care about you being able to business plan and manage your time in terms of getting a license. They want to make sure you could follow the laws and rules. Whereas post-licensing, you're going to learn the information that you need to actually use your license and make money with it. And once you've done this, then you could start adding on the additional trainings, because you're probably going to join a broker that has training programs. That's going to be something I would highly recommend as a new real estate agent, is getting with a broker that specifically focuses on new agent training. And we have a lot of brokers that are actively recruiting new agents that we can make recommendations to you. If you have any questions, call us 813-333-2676. We could help you out with anything, whatever stage it is that you're at, whether you're just thinking about getting a license, or maybe you're thinking about getting your broker license, or maybe you're thinking about making a switch between brokerages. Maybe you're trying to understand what real estate is better. Whatever questions you have, 813-333-2676. We've got licensed advisors who are sales associate, instructors, and even brokers here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. So an amazing team we have. So take advantage of that, 813-333-2676. And even though we're called the Tampa School of Real Estate, that's just where we're headquartered out of. We are authorized for anywhere in Florida. Our Florida real estate license works anywhere in Florida, and our courses to take that exam will give you the approval whether you're in Tampa or not. You just have to complete the course and you'll be eligible for the Florida real estate license exam. And same thing for all of our courses. Again, they're all statewide. So we are a statewide institution, and we're actually now the largest independent real estate school in Florida. So if you want a Florida-specific school that's not just part of some international conglomerate of just a bunch of copy and paste real estate schools, Tampa School of Real Estate is the place to go. One of the few places left that's still an independent real estate school. But I digress, because we're not here to talk about Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here to talk about getting your real estate career up and running in 90 days. So as I mentioned, that post-licensing, that's going to be the best curriculum for you to take immediately. The business planning is going to be one of the things that you want to focus and spend the most time after the course on as well, because what that's going to do is teach you how to build a business plan that you can review on a regular basis, that you could use to hold yourself accountable. You've probably heard that word before in an employee type of role. Maybe you're in a manager type of role, but that's usually where that comes in, accountability, to make sure the employees are doing the jobs that are required of the business. So when you're in real estate, you are the boss as well as the employee, which, you know, the whole be your own boss concept is something that a lot of people aspire to be. But one of the key components of being a successful boss, whether you're your own boss or the boss of somebody else, is accountability. And that's one of the most difficult things to learn at the beginning, is how to hold yourself accountable. And the reason why it's difficult when you're beginning is you don't know how to hold yourself accountable or what you should be holding yourself accountable for. I knew to hold myself accountable to going to the office, but that's all I knew to do. I knew to do that, and I knew I needed a business card. So again, my first 2 weeks wasted just spending time hyper fixated on making my business card as perfect as can be. And going back to that story, I ended up spending about 25 cents per business card. I ordered, there must have been 1,000 of them I ordered, because it was like $250 I paid for these business cards. And I knew I was going to get reimbursed on that. Again, I have to go back and see if I ever actually did. But at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm getting reimbursed on this, so it doesn't matter that these business cards are so expensive. They're going to make me stand out, and my business card is what's going to make people want to do business with me. That's what I thought in my head. That's what going to school for marketing kind of left me with the impression of. If I just got such a mind-blowing business card, people can't help but just give me money. That's not the case, apparently. I learned that one the hard way after wasting a lot of time on the business cards. And when I finally got those business cards in, because they cost 25 cents per card and I only had so many of them, I was literally thinking twice before I'd hand a business card out to somebody. Because I was like, well, if I go through all 1,000 of these business cards and I haven't closed a deal yet, then I'm going to have to order new business cards, and I don't have money for that. So there was just so many things that were wrong in my head. And this is from someone who, again, had ran their own businesses before, to I would say definitely some degree of success, to someone who had mastered a sales role in a 180,000 person company to be ranked among the top of the employees. So there's a lot I was bringing to the table, including a lot of arrogance and lack of humility. I just thought I was going to be an instant success. And it took 3 months or so of me really not knowing what to do, not knowing what to do next. I could sit there and watch the other agents in the office, and you might have heard me talk about this before. This was a cool office. They had one of those little like putting things where, you know, you putt the ball and then it kicks it back to you. You go putt it again, kicks it back to you. They had a little football in there. They'd be tossing that back and forth while they'd be arguing about politics or the economy or whatever nonsense that wasn't selling real estate. And then I would see the agents who were actually productive in selling real estate, but they'd just be zipping in and out of the office. Or if they were in the office, they were always on the phone. So not somebody I could really talk to, because usually if they're on the phone, they were going into like one of the phone rooms, and so I wasn't like over there like eavesdropping on their conversation or anything like that. So I was just left to watch the people that were just really wasting their time there, and so that led to me wasting my time, to the point eventually where I realized I wasn't going to figure this out on my own. That, again, took me about 3 months or so to realize I'm not on the trajectory I want to be. I thought I was going to have quit my job by now. I thought I would have already closed multiple deals, but I just didn't know what I was doing. So that sales trainer came in and basically gave us a little mini pitch, and in that pitch he really kind of blew my mind of how much information I was really lacking despite my already having knowledge of sales and marketing. There was so in sales, marketing, running my own businesses, there was so much that I was bringing to the table. I didn't realize how much I didn't know, specifically as it relates to real estate sales and running a real estate business. And so when I started to learn those specifics in that boot camp program, that's what really opened up the doors in my mind to what I was doing wrong, what I needed to do, as well as the activities I needed to participate in to be able to get my business off the ground. And like I said, when I took this post-licensing course, I was like, wow, I should have just took this right away. If I took this, because I think there was actually still information almost 2 years into my real estate career after I'd already invested thousands of dollars into training myself, there was still new information in that post-licensing course on top of a lot of information that I kicked myself over because I was like, I should have just did this right away. But no one was telling me that. The only reason people told me to take post-licensing was because it's required for a renewal. I was like, well, that's the reason. I don't want to take that. That's a waste of time. I'll do that when I get the renewal. I mean, I'm not even too sure. Like, being 3 months into this and not having done any business, I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep my real estate license. And there's a large percentage of people that don't even renew their real estate license for the first time. And the number one reason why they don't do their first renewal is they did not complete this course. They might tell you they weren't able to become successful in real estate, but if they did not complete this course, they weren't effectively trying to be successful. And maybe it's just because no one told them they need to take this course, the post-licensing. And that's why I'm up here on the soapbox today telling you how important this is to getting your real estate career off the ground. From the business planning, to knowing how to present the offers, to knowing how to interact with the clients, to knowing how to follow up effectively, to knowing how to work with for sale by owners and expired listings and all these sources of leads, as well as how to develop new sources of leads, how to farm a neighborhood, how to canvas, how to do door knocking, how to make phone calls to people, how to use email. And I don't mean just how to send an email, but how to actually use email as an effective part to help you generate business. That's in this post-licensing course. It's chock full of so much information. And again, it's not going to teach you everything. I absolutely expect you to get additional training from your broker, to maybe even where you want to even invest in higher level training and coaching programs. And there's so much you could do to continually ever expand your knowledge of real estate, to become a more successful professional. And in real estate, that's the thing that's so rewarding, is if you have a job, you've got to hit your KPIs. You've got to make sure that you're producing. You've got to make sure you're a productive employee. And not only that, but you also have to make sure you're viewed by that way, in that way, by your superiors. One of the things that held me back, and if I tried to do a lawsuit against them, I probably could, but they would probably have all kinds of evidence they could use to get that out of the way. But one of the things I knew that held me back from advancing was my age. I was young, but I was hungry. And I'd already ran my own businesses, and I've already done so much. I had so much experience. I had more experience than most people that were maybe even twice my age at that company. But because of my age, I knew that was something that held me back. And whether that's from you being young, you being old, you being a man, you being a woman, you being something else, whatever it might be that's holding you back, there's a lot of that political nonsense that goes on in the workplace like that. And so that could be frustrating as well. But the good news is, as a real estate professional, it all comes back to you. You're your own boss. You're the one that calls the shots. Yes, you do have to register with a broker, but ultimately that broker is there to be a support system, because you're typically almost always an independent contractor of that broker. So they're there for a supervision role to make sure that everything you're doing is legal, and again, to be a set of resources and support to help you in whatever stage of your real estate career you're at. And that's why there's different brokers that are going to be a better fit for some versus another, depending on what you're doing, where you're at. If you're a brand new agent, there's going to be brokerages that are better geared for brand new agents, and there's brokerages that are better geared towards experienced agents. And you could always change the brokerage that you hang your license at. Or once you have 2 years experience of your own, you go get your own broker license and open up your own office. And then you literally answer to no one except for the Florida Real Estate Commission. So there's so much potential of what you could do with your real estate career. But this crucial window, this 90 days, because once 3 months goes by, if you haven't made significant progress or even some progress in 90 days, that's where this becomes discouraging, demoralizing, and making you feel like this was a waste of time, a money, a scam, whatever it is that you want to call it. Because you're not getting a real estate license, you're not spending the money, taking the time, investing in yourself. You're not doing it to just someday be in a better place. Most people are looking for more immediate results. And so if you do want those more immediate results, if you do want to get your business up and running in 90 days, there's a taller order of what you got to do because you're trying to compress time. So taking what you'd have to do across 2 years, which again, this is what's required for your first renewal. So within 18 to 24 months of getting your license, you've got to do this post-licensing course. So if you want to compress time, take that renewal requirement and do it right away. And not just because it's a renewal requirement, but because it's additional knowledge and understanding and information that's going to help you accelerate this process significantly. And you'll have a better idea of what brokerage is going to be a good fit for you. So again, even taking that course before you decide to join a broker is something we highly recommend at the Tampa School of Real Estate. Because that way you're coming to the brokerage with the fundamentals. And not just the fundamentals of, oh, no, a contract needs to be in writing and signed. That's the gist of stuff you're learning in pre-licensing, very basic laws and rules, which that's just getting you the seat at the table. If you want to impress the broker, if you want to be somebody who maybe even gets special treatment because that broker's like, wow, this person's going somewhere. If you walk into a broker's office and it sounds like you've got no clue, no idea what you're talking about here, I mean, that broker will probably still take you on, but are they going out of their way because they think you're going to be the next big thing? Maybe, maybe not. But if you go in there and you really impress that broker, being a brand new agent of how much you already know, how much you've already studied, what you've already done, then it's like, wow, you know what? You look like you're going somewhere. You know what? I don't do this for everyone, but I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Maybe put you in a special lead program. Maybe you're getting some special attention. Maybe you're getting some special coach. Maybe there's so many doors that open up for you the more it is that you know. And so one of the things that we've got here at the Tampa School of Real Estate to really take all of these books here. So you sign up for this, what we call the Complete Jumpstart. You're getting this whole complete little package here. You're getting your pre-licensing course, which is what's required by the Florida Real Estate Commission to get your license. You're getting the Pass First Try exam prep tools, which is going to include this Week in Prep workbook that's going to help you accelerate the exam prep process. But you're also getting our post-licensing course. And the post-licensing is going to be the big difference maker in terms of actually using your license and being able to become successful with it. So, and there's still even more. There's additional courses we offer. There's continuing educations, there's courses we offer on how to submit contracts and so on and so forth, and we're continually building out that catalog because we want to help more people go further, faster in real estate. And the more knowledge you have of the right information, you could go on Google and you could literally find infinite information on almost any topic. And the crazy part is, and I love doing this on Google, I love being able to find something that's considered a fact or whatever it is, usually a matter of opinion, but where one source will say this and another source will say the complete opposite. So how do you know what is actually real or what is actually effective or what you really should be doing? And what's important more so than ever, we're no longer in the information age. We're now in the misinformation age because there's literally just robots that are just cranking out information. And it's not always correct. And even before there were just AI cranking out information, there were tons of people, just regular everyday people, cranking out incorrect information. When you go to most of these copy and paste nationwide real estate schools where they offer courses nationwide here, they're not specialists in Florida. They're copying and pasting as much as they can across multiple states because that's more efficient. And whether or not you get a real estate license, that comes secondary because you got to pay for the course first. Now, at the Tampa School of Real Estate, we're not just here to sell you a course to get the license and say, bye, we're done. That's actually, a matter of fact, the reason why we started Tampa School of Real Estate back in 2007. So my father, he was actually our first instructor, Craig Carissimo, and he was teaching with another real estate school. And that real estate school didn't really offer the resources that we offer. Nothing compared to what we have today, where we've got our own app and our own programs, our own books, our own courses, our own exam prep. So much of that we've built based on our core mission of being more than just a required class. Because so many real estate schools just see themselves as, oh yeah, we're going to give you the requirement you need to take your state exam. Well, you're not just doing this to get a license. You're not just doing this to complete a course or get a license or pass an exam. You're doing this to change your life. And as somebody who's literally changed their life through real estate, I understand what it is that you're after and what you're going after here. Not just myself, but literally everyone here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're all united on this core mission of being more than a required class. So, like I said, that Complete Jumpstart bundle is going to be your best bet for getting your real estate career accelerated and off the ground as quickly as possible, to be able to get yourself up and running within 90 days, because not only will you have the license, and you'll be getting the license quickly with the help of the Pass First Try exam prep tools, so you can maintain that momentum. Because the more time that goes by without making strides in progress, the more demoralizing it's going to be, the less enthusiasm you'll have. And any sort of sales profession or any sort of running your own business, if the enthusiasm, if the excitement isn't there, everything can go downhill very quickly. So very important that you try to align as much as possible to set yourself up for success. If you just want to kind of take it by chance, you set yourself up for some pretty ugly looking statistics. And that's one of the reasons why we're here at the Tampa School of Real Estate, is to really overcome those statistics. Whether it's the pass rate for the state exam or the success rate of people that actually get their real estate license, we're here to help you become better than those statistics, to where those statistics aren't what's defining whether or not you're successful. It's your knowledge, it's your understanding, it's the actions you're taking that are ultimately setting you up for success. We know that here at the Tampa School of Real Estate, it's part of our core values, and we're excited to help people actually start successful real estate careers. You go check out our reviews. We've got thousands of people that have left us 5-star reviews, and not just because they're like, wow, they're cool, that was a good class, but because these people have gone on to even as far as becoming a reality real estate Netflix TV star. If you've seen the Netflix series based on Tampa, there were several of those real estate agents that got their real estate licenses through Tampa School of Real Estate, on top of people that have been on HGTV and other news programs and other cable programs and so on and so forth, but even more people who aren't just doing this for the spotlight. Because, you know, a lot of these real estate TV shows, it's more about the actual drama. That's what makes it an exciting TV show compared to the actual selling of real estate. You know, if you're a realtor, you're maybe interested in the sales stuff, but if you're just a general viewer, the drama is typically what sells those shows a little bit more. So maybe you want to be a reality TV star, maybe that's not what you want. There's so much you could build your real estate business into. You could build it into being like a very visible real estate mogul, where you're also a real estate investor, you've got TV shows, you've got a YouTube channel, you've got so much going on, and you're helping others. Or, you know, maybe you're just quietly being successful. Maybe you're keeping your current job because you like that, and you're just doing real estate part-time or just for referrals. There's such a spectrum of what you could do with your real estate license, and there's so many ways to earn money from it, including just for your own personal gain. So especially if you're an investor or you're buying and selling your own properties, having a real estate license is going to give you a significant advantage. And we have a lot of people that come to us that are investors, are literally just looking to use their real estate license for their own purposes and their own transactions, especially with the environment that we have with higher interest rates, with inflation, with rising home prices. This is something that, as an investor, gives you a significant advantage to increase your return on investment, maybe 5 or 6% compared to not having this license. So there's so much you could do with it, but it can be very overwhelming because there's so many possibilities. There's so much you can do. It's so much of a blank canvas. But at the same time, if you align yourself with the right people, the right organizations, you could really hone in on the specifics that you should be focusing on to achieve the goals that you've laid out in your business plan. And you're going to have a business plan because you're going to do your post-licensing right away. Because again, that complete Jumpstart bundle is going to include your pre-licensing to get the license, the Pass First Try exam prep tools, as well as that required post-licensing course, which we highly recommend. You could take it at any point. That credit is good for that entire first renewal period, but if you really want to get the most out of it and really jumpstart your real estate career as possible, that's why we call it the complete jumpstart, is because that post-licensing portion is going to be the most essential aspect to helping you jumpstart your real estate career and actually get it off the ground. Not just have the license, not just have the seat at the table, but actually be using it to earn money, whether that be through referrals or through actually selling the real estate yourself. So there's so much it is that you're going to learn going through that course, so much information. And again, if you have any questions about that, if there's anything it is that you're not quite sure about, reach out to us. The phone number is 813-333-2676. You could also text us at that number as well if you prefer to text, or you could visit us right online at tsre.us. That's tsre.us. I really appreciate you guys joining in with me today so I could share with you this information that I am clearly very passionate about. And again, this can be the make it or break it for your real estate career, because it almost was for mine. Now, granted, I didn't do the post-licensing right away. I took that sales training boot camp thing that I was pitched on that, again, costed me way more money, and I was down to my last dollars. I had to put that on multiple credit cards because it was a pretty significant expense. 100% worth it, but I really wish I just took the post-licensing course first, because I might not have needed that sales boot camp, or I maybe would have got more out of it had I already been more well-versed in the fundamentals and more the sales aspect, compared to just it all being so brand new to me when I took that boot camp thing. So that's why our complete Jumpstart course, that is our most highly recommended bundle that we have, because it's going to include that post-licensing that's going to, again, help you develop a business plan, help you understand how to interact with your clients, how to get for sale by owners, how to get expired listings, how to present offers to clients, how it even goes deeper into the appraisal and valuation of property, especially when it comes to pricing to sell. So you learn a lot of essentials and pre-licensing about appraisal, but you learn more about post-licensing, about the concept of pricing to sell, which based on the market can vary quite a bit from just your more standardized appraisal type of valuation. So we've got so much we could teach you. We have so much information to help you build a successful real estate career, and that's ultimately what we're after. Our number one way that we get business here at the Tampa School of Real Estate isn't through advertising. It's through our past students. It's through people that have gone through our programs, have changed their lives themselves, and they're such fans of Tampa School of Real Estate that even before we had a referral program, we just had people sending us people. You'll go to Tampa School of Real Estate. I don't get any kickback for it or anything like that, but they're just the best school around. And then we said, you know what? Well, I mean, if people are going to recommend us, why don't we pay them as long as we can, as long as that's legal? So we did some research, we did our due diligence, and you know what? We can offer a referral fee, commission, affiliate program, whatever you want to call it. I think it's officially called the affiliate program at Tampa School of Real Estate. But you can just go to tsre.us/refer if you're not already a member. If you're an alumni of Tampa School of Real Estate, you probably got a little like pop-up or something like that, maybe an email that's like, hey, go join the affiliate program. But this is open to anyone. So even if you're not yet a student, but you're like, wow, these videos, this information Tampa School of Real Estate has to provide is obviously better than every other real estate school that's out there. So maybe you know somebody that wants to get a license and maybe they're just a little bit ahead of you. You could send them a referral link. And if they sign up for a class within 30 days after clicking a referral link, you get a commission. And so again, tsre.us/refer. We'll absolutely take your referrals if you don't want a commission. That's fine. If you just want to send people to us, we have a lot of people that aren't even registered for our referral program, but they still send us referrals just because they're such a believer in what it is that we do and what it is we teach here at the Tampa School of Real Estate. But we're 100% okay and really want you to be able to get paid on that. So you can sign up for our affiliate program. That way you're getting something in compensation for your recommendations it is you're making for us. And we'll actually even double the value of your referral commission if you use that as store credit towards, say, your post-licensing course, your continuing education, maybe to get your broker license, or maybe you do want to gift the store credit you have to somebody else to help them get their real estate license. Maybe your spouse. My wife actually recently got her real estate license, maybe about 2 years ago or so, and she was really excited to get into it just because she saw the success that I had. And you know, it's actually really fun, us working together on real estate deals. So if that's something, you've got somebody close to you, a friend, a family member, your spouse, significant other, whatever it may be, that also wants to get into real estate, yeah, that referral program can be a really great tool. So any questions you have about any of this, getting started, the referral program, how to take your real estate career to the next level, getting your broker license, we'd love to help you out with that. Again, the phone number is 813-333-2676. We're already way over on our time today, so I do hope this information has been valuable to you. I love sharing this information, especially when you go out there and take this information and make use of it, because I've used it for myself. We've used it for thousands of people we've helped here through the Tampa School of Real Estate, but every single person that's able to take our advice and be successful with it, you know, we just love chalking up those wins. So anyway, we can help you out, 813-333-2676. That's about all the time we've got for today. We'll be back next Friday for another episode of State of Real Estate. We're actually here every single Friday helping you understand how to make money with your real estate license, how to grow your real estate business. There's so many topics we've covered over the years. Check out our YouTube, check out our Facebook. You can see tons of videos. You can also go right to tampaschoolofrealestate.com. We've got all the videos archived right under our Success Center on there as well. Anything we'd help you out with, 813-333-2676. It's all the time we've got for today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday. Until then, have a great weekend, have a great week, and make it happen.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the question simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're gonna love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? The number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real-world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real-world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.